Yes, Shauna, good morning. Emily Kyler Green, attorney for the department.
Irina Gosa, attorney ad litem for the respondent mother. I'm not ready. I haven't had contact with Ms. Sandoval, and I don't believe she's been served.
Ms. St. James, can you announce?
Yes, my name is Avon St. James. I am the Child Protective Investigations investigator on the case.
Anna Swallow, attorney ad litem for the child judge.
Daisy Villa, I'm the family-based safety services caseworker for the department.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Acosta is announced not ready, and it appears from what Ms. Kyler Green informed the court prior to the hearing started that Ms. Sandoval has not yet been served. So she's the only respondent in this case. We can't proceed until she's served. So Ms. Greenlee, what do we have as far as a reset date that will allow us to try and effectuate service on Ms. Sandoval?
Next week. I know that's a visiting judge. It's either that or we'll have to come back in 2 weeks. Which would you prefer?
Well, I think if we're having service issues and service went out, came back unserved, I think we need 2 weeks to try and get that done, unless, you know, Ms. Sandoval for some reason decides to waive service after talking to Ms. Acosta. But
Then we can reset to 3:20 at 11.
let's do that. That way I'll be here and Judge Morris doesn't have to mess with it. Okay, so we will be back March the 20th, 2024, 11. Before we go, does anyone here by any chance have any new information on mom that might help Ms. Acosta get a hold of her in addition to the department's attempts?
Ms. St. James, would you like to speak to that?
No new information. I just have that one contact for Ms. Sandoval that I provided. That's when I've been texting and getting a hold of her on. It's just trying to get the service or getting her served. That's been an issue this week.
Okay.
And Judge, if I may, I've also tried to get a hold of her so that I could visit the child, and she's unresponsive to me. So, and I'm using the same information that Ms. St. James is referring to. So if anyone does get in touch with her, I would request that they request that she be responsive to me so that I can check in on the child.
And let's try to be as efficient here as possible. If anyone is able to get in touch with her within that time frame, and I do mean close, because if she's moving around, let's try to get everybody on the phone at the same time that we can. I'm not ordering everybody to be there. I'm just saying as many people as we can get involved. If she's reached, you know, get Ms. Acosta and Ms. Swallow, if they're available, and Ms. Kyler Green on the phone, and see if you can all have a discussion and talk about what we might be able to do in anticipation of the 20th, so we can hopefully avoid this non-service issue again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that'll be all. I'll see you all March the 20th at 11. Thank you for your time and your service. All parties are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any objection?
Thank
No
you.
objection.
No objection.
All right, with that, Ms. Kyler Green, would you please begin the announcements?
Yes, good morning. Emily Kyler Green, attorney for the department. Ms. Ruiz, or Ms. Diaz, excuse me.
Sonia Diaz, permanency specialist for Belong.
Kathleen Savage, attorney ad litem for the child. Your Honor, I'm ready.
All right. We were last here in January for our final trial. And we are here today for a permanency review after final order. Ms. Diaz's report says that Michael is 1 and he is in foster care placement in Wilson County, where he has been for quite some time. Permanency goal, unrelated adoption or conservatorship in the alternative. And he is up to date on all of his checkups. He's receiving some physical therapy and some occupational therapy, and some SST twice a month. He is, according to the report, doing well. And it seems as if the placement is safe and appropriate, meeting his needs. All that's correct, Ms. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Are there any, there he is. Hey, Michael, are there any obstacles that you are aware of to finalizing and achieving the permanency goal?
There is, right now, there is no room in adoptions. So we are currently waiting for him to be transferred over to adoptions.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one to me. No, is what's going on?
Well, since there is no room right now, they're at full capacity right now for children that are moving forward with adoptions. So in the meantime, I am working with adoptions to ensure that the family has correct documentation information for adoptions. And I remain in contact with the family and ensure that Michael is receiving his PT, his OT, and his SST.
Are they gonna hire more people? So there's more
Yes.
adoptions?
Yes.
No, I mean, I guess that's a good problem to have. We're getting that many kids in the line. So can't be all bad. How are we doing on the Heshig and the redacted file that I expedited?
That has been expedited.
Okay. Any other specific reasonable efforts that Belong has made to achieve a permanency goal that you want to bring to the court's attention?
No, that is all.
Ms. Skylar Green, questions?
Just to be clear, Misty, what you're describing when you said that you're working with adoptions, are you more working kind of as a liaison between adoptions and the family to ensure that there's no, I don't know, gaps or lapses in any of the required documentation so that they're ready to go when they do get transferred?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any actions that the foster family needs to take right now that you can help facilitate?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And you said that Michael's still receiving all of his services. Is he making progress in the services?
Yes, he's doing very well. He's starting to take some steps, so he's doing very well.
Okay. Are there any concerns that he might need more services or that these are not fulfilling his needs?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Savage?
So once we hit the 90 days, which I believe will be early April, will we be able to finalize the adoption? I mean, how long are we waiting for Belong to get adoption workers?
I do not have a response for that as to how long that is going to be taking.
So you have no idea as to when this will get to the adoption unit?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you don't have the ability to get this file ready for adoption come April 4th?
No.
Have you received the redacted file?
I would need to check with our admin. She would be the one to be receiving that information.
I'll pass witness room.
Anything else, Ms. Skylar Green?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, Ms. Savage?
Yes, I'm going to ask the court to order the case be transferred to adoptions. I don't think it's fair to Michael that we're just letting his case hang out in limbo. When we are very clear, we have a very clear path to permanency. In this case, we have a home that's willing to adopt, ready to adopt. It's just a matter of paperwork. I get it. They're short-staffed, I understand, but that's not fair to this child. So I think it needs to get there, and that way people who have the ability to get this case ready for adoptions can do that.
Thank you. I already had something similar to that in the notes, but I appreciate the clarification. All right, for the purposes of the permanency review after final order, the court finds that the permanency goal of unrelated adoption is appropriate and in the child's best interest. Court finds that his placement is safe, appropriate, meeting his needs, and in his best interest to continue. Court finds he's up to date on his medical, dental, and vision, and that he's receiving multiple therapies each month, a week. Court finds that the Heshig and the redacted file have been expedited. As far as reasonable efforts go, I do believe that Belong has made reasonable efforts in maintaining contact with the placement, ensuring that he gets his therapy, and getting those documents expedited on the Heshig and redaction. But I can understand that the problem exists, and I can appreciate that the problem exists, but the problem needs to not exist. So I'm going to order Belong to transfer the case to adoptions today, or explain to the court why and how this problem exists and why it can't be done, why we can't transfer him to adoptions. Belong has taken on the responsibility of being the conservator for these children and taking over that role of moving kids from permanency and conservatorship into adoptions. And it's got to be done. We can't, like Ms. Savage said, I mean, we could potentially be doing this for 6 months to a year, but we're not going to. So if I don't get an update that he's been transferred to adoptions, then I need an explanation from a supervisor as to why not. And I'll give all that till tomorrow at 5. Our next hearing is going to be August the 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m. August 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m. Anything I failed to address, Ms. Carla Green?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you for your time and your service. Nothing further. All parties are excused. Kirk County,
you.
is there any objection?
No, Judge.
No objection.
No, Judge.
With that, Mr. McKeska, would you please begin the announcements?
Yes, Judge. Drake McKeska, attorney for the department.
Lewis Belong, permanency specialist.
Lindsay Ligon, Belong, permanency supervisor.
Lucinda Mance for the Father Gregorio Avalez. I'm ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. Derek Ritchie for the mother, Brenda Sanchez. I've also got co-counsel Valerie Hedlund on Zoom as well, and Jeannie Cupid, who's not on Zoom at the moment. And we're ready.
Richard Saldivar, attorney for the child.
Deborah Admire, Hill Country Casa, guardian ad litem for the child. Amy Harding, Hill Country Casa supervisor.
Jimmy Dresden Mitchell, child protective investigation supervisor.
Is there anybody else that has not announced yet?
Gregorio Aviles, father of the child.
Ms. Sanchez?
Brenda Sanchez, the mom of the child.
Thank you. You can all put your hands down. We're here today for a final trial. Mr. McKeska, any housekeeping issues we need to take up?
A couple of them, Judge. First and foremost, as the court's aware, there was a jury demand that was filed in this case in December of 2023. The department did file a motion to strike that jury demand, and we did have a setting for that motion at the end of February of 2024. However, that motion was dropped because the parties were in agreement to withdraw the jury demand. However, I did circulate a Rule 11 agreement, but I never received everyone's signatures back. So I think it is proper before we get started that everybody waives on the record the request for the jury demand.
All right, let me just go down the line. That way we can get clear responses from everybody. Mr. Ritchie?
Yes, Judge, we waive the jury demand.
All right. Ms. Mance?
Yes, Judge, it is waived by the respondent father.
Mr. Saldivar?
Yes, Judge, waived.
Casa?
Yes, we waive it.
All right, and then I'm going to ask both the parents too. Ms. Sanchez, do you understand that your right to a jury trial in this case has been waived?
Yes.
And you agree to that?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Aviles, you understand that your right to a jury trial in this case has been waived?
Yes.
And you agree with that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Mr. McKeska, next.
Judge, then again, this case was set to begin trial in person on Monday, March 4th. I know that Mr. Ritchie's office had a conflict. I also had a conflict. And so we agreed to reset it to today. My understanding of today's setting is simply to commence the trial and then recess so we can have the special in-person settings in order to have the majority of the evidence and testimony presented.
Is there any objection?
No objections, Judge.
No objection, Judge.
Okay. Then with that, Mr. McKeska, you can, does everybody waive opening?
We waive opening, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I would like to call Miss Dresden Mitchell as the first witness. Okay. And how are you currently employed?
I am a child protective investigation supervisor out of the Kerrville office.
Okay. And how long have you been employed by the Department of Family and Protective Services?
Next month will be 10 years.
Okay. And how long have you been the investigative supervisor in Kerr County?
It'll be 4 years in June of 2024.
Okay, so in September of 2022, you were the investigative supervisor for this case.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and as the investigative supervisor, did you have direct oversight of this investigation?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Do you recall this investigation?
I do, yes.
Okay. When did the department receive the intake for this case?
We received the intake on August 18th, 2022.
Okay, and what was the intake for?
It was a priority 1 intake with allegations of physical abuse and I believe neglectful supervision of Ezekiel, who was 2 months old at the time. It was alleged that EMS responded to a 911 phone call to the residents because Ezekiel was unresponsive, and he was then transported to Peterson, and CT scans showed 2 brain bleeds on each side of his brain.
Okay, and you said the department received a priority 1 intake. Can you describe what sort of intakes are priority 1 intakes?
Yeah, so priority 1 intakes are the intakes where the child appears to be in, an immediate danger, an immediate threat to their safety, or imminent risk of of abuse or neglect, that could result in death or serious bodily harm.
Okay, and for a priority 1 intake, is there a specific time frame that the department has to establish first contact?
Yes, immediately or within 24 hours.
Okay, and did the department make first contact with the family within that time frame?
Yes.
Okay, Judge, I believe that's enough for us to have commenced the trial. So I would ask that we recess at this point and get on the court's docket for those in-person days.
All right, I agree. I think there's sufficient evidence. I also have Miss Greenlee at the moment checking courtroom availability in Kerr County. I don't know that we're going to get an answer back right away. So we will, recess, and I will come back, we'll get back with the parties by email to all parties with the available dates and make sure that we've got availability from everyone before we set it. Okay? And I know you're looking at 2 days, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, then that'll be the order of the court. The trial is recessed and we will resume at a date to be determined. And